Hello, welcome to a special Christmas edition of All Five Rounds. After some technical difficulties on our Christmas Eve edition, we are back. As always, we're never going to go away. And we got a lot to talk about. We have UFC 232. Obviously, I am one of your co-hosts, Ty O'Keefe. And as always, joined by my longtime friend and brother, basically, Daren Loucks. And we're going to talk about all the chaos that has ensued this past few days with John Jones, the event moving into California, and the co-main between Chris Cyborg Justino and Amanda Nunes. So, anybody who's been asleep or I don't know for the last few days and is trying to catch up, John Jones has been kind of nailed for a second positive test. Not really. They're claiming that it was left over from the substance was from his previous failed test that he received a suspension for. And they're saying it is a picogram or something, I think. Is that
picograms that they're using, yeah.
I heard a great analogy too. Not only did we hear about the 50 million slices of 1 grain of rice, and it would be one of those 50 million slices, I heard it would be a drop of water in an Olympic-sized swimming pool.
Yeah. Well, man, I don't know. I'm not a scientist, so I'm not going to say one way or another. But listen, how is that popping up right now? That's what I want to know. I mean, so I heard Joe Rogan talking about how the testing is it's that much more sophisticated, and we're just getting better on it. And I've also heard of micro dosing. So I mean, I don't know. It hasn't come up in the last year that he's been being tested, right?
And now all of a sudden, we love to hate John Jones. Everybody loves to hate John Jones right now, right? So anything this guy does is going to be just blown up to whatever. Now I'm not defending him in the octagon. The guy's unstoppable. All right, but to move this event to California, it makes people hate him more because they're blaming him for this. So now all the people that got to buy new tickets and hotel rooms and airline flights and have their trainers and families move, everybody's looking at John Jones. Even Chris Cyborg put out an angry kind of video on MMA Junkie. I saw they filmed her reaction to it, and she wasn't happy about it. I mean, that's Chris Cyborg, and we know, people say depending on your mindset whether she cheated or not in the past, whatever. But interesting enough that everybody's blaming John Jones for this. Everybody.
Well, because it is his fault. And it's also like, it's not, okay, you know what? I don't want to just broadly say it's his fault. You know whose fault it is too? It's the UFC, because they're just trying to make money. I mean, they want pay-per-view buys. He's a cash king when it comes to that. There's no Conor McGregor right now. There's no Brock Lesnar coming back. GSP does not look like he is.
Thank God.
What? What do you mean, thank God?
No Brock Lesnar coming back.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant GSP. I was about to go like, come on, bro. No, I hear you about Brock.
I know you look at GSP as a Canadian treasure. I understand. My colleague Craig Allen feels the same way. If you dare talk bad about GSP, forget it. But, whatever. Brock Lesnar, though, I don't want him back around. And now, of course, John Jones, I think this week has already said, the Brock Lesnar fight's always something I think about doing. And if so, great. We can maybe Golden Boy should have that fight. Oscar De La Hoya should promote the John Jones Brock Lesnar fight.
Whoever will let them sauce to the 9 should promote that fight.
Vince McMahon?
Yeah, Vince
McMahon.
Vince would be like, hey, man, I'll even hook you guys up with what you need.
Clean needles.
Oh, yeah,
the
man.
Whole 9.
Be good to go with the under Vince.
There's a big part of me that doesn't want to blame John Jones for this. And that's a selfish part of me because I truly believe that this fight needs to happen. I don't care how it happens. I want it to happen now. I'm sick of hearing about it. We all know what happened last time. I think personally Gustafsson has improved tremendously since their first fight. Now, whether John Jones has or not, I don't know. If John Jones goes in there and we get the John Jones that we saw against Oban St. Preux, John Jones is in some serious trouble.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that. I mean, he looked stiff. I'll say this, like, as fighters go, and if you look at the style that Gus has, he has a really good style to fight John Jones because he's kind of anti-John Jones, but John Jones height, same stature, which goes a long way. You know, John Jones gets guys in the clinch and he takes them down. And one of the reasons he takes them down is he uses the length of his legs and uses trips. Well, one guy in the division who can stop that right away just by bending over at the hips is Gus. John Jones uses a lot of standing. He stands, prods forward, and throws like a lot of kicks, a lot of single shots. What's a good way to defeat that? Throw multiple shots and have good footwork. Well, guess what? There's one guy in the division who's got really good footwork, and he throws multiple shots because of his boxing skill, and that's Gus. So this fight is, I mean, this fighter, even if you want to go that far, is a really good anti-John Jones fight.
Yeah,
He's
we
sorry.
saw that in the first fight too. The way he was slipping jabs out of the exchanges, like the way he was landing those when they were breaking away from each other, and he was hitting his feints, and then he'd feint and then land another couple shots at length, closing the distance without really closing the distance. Without using,
Yep.
and he's got his footwork is phenomenal. He's an
Oh
underrated.
yeah.
He's an underrated wrestler too. I mean,
Oh yeah.
unbelievably underrated wrestler. I mean, this guy is
First one to
seriously
shot
talented.
John Jones down, man. First one.
Is he the only one now? Has someone else taken him? I'm sure Cormier took him down,
I
right?
I feel like Cormier took him down. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I was watching the clips of the Cormier Gus fight, and I mean, people forget that was a split decision. The Gus
Mm-hmm.
almost beat Cormier, but I saw Cormier flip Gus on his head. In that fight,
Yeah.
that was crazy. I mean, Cormier's great at that, just picking people up and just dropping them on their head.
Styles make fights, and the one area that Cormier really dominates is that close range. He gets in that close range. His wrestling is so superior to most people, almost everybody. And then he also boxes well in that range, so it kind of messes some guys up when they're trying to box with him. Um, Gus is not the type always too that uses his reach at length all the time. He does, but he's not afraid to venture in. That was sort of like the difference when he fought Cormier versus when John fights Cormier. The distance is different.
Yeah,
Um,
and we can't underestimate the hatred that's been brewing in Gus all these years for John Jones.
mm-hmm.
He's not a hateful guy. Alexander Gustafsson is a very I'd say level-headed kind of guy, and he definitely
Mm-hmm.
has been angry about this. And I can't believe at the press conference when he stood in front and John Jones pushed him like that. That's not something you've ever seen Gus get involved with outside of the octagon ever.
No, and that was totally John. Just like, I don't know if he was trying to punk Gus a little bit before promoted as well. Probably a little bit of both, but yeah, very. Gus kind of looked at him like, "What are you doing?" Like,
Yeah, and it is what it is, but I really think that we might be jumping on John Jones for something he didn't do here. And let's just be fair. We don't know. We're not scientists. We don't know. Just because the guy Jeff, I'm gonna mispronounce his name, Jeff Nowitzki or Nowitzki or whatever, the guy that was with Dana White, giving the statement on the picogram or whatever it was, he's the guy who went through Barry Bonds' garbage looking for steroid evidence years ago, and now he's back in John Jones. So there's a stigma there too that if this guy's associated with backing someone like John Jones, there's some shady things going on, and it's just this perception that John Jones can do no right. I think has really hurt him here, whether he's right or he's wrong. The public is always going to look at him like he's wrong, like he cheated.
well, man, like he tested positive. Like, it's hard to look at him any other way. Now, don't get me wrong; it doesn't take away from his talent. Whether he took something or not, I mean, his talent and his work ethic and everything like that, it speaks for itself. He's one of the greatest, if not the greatest, mixed martial artists of all time. The skills he's displayed in the octagon, I mean, that comes from hours and hours of smart, hard training with the best coaches and great athletic talent to put it all together and a physique and a brain. I mean, he's the total package, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, he really is.
but then he
And
blows, and then it makes everybody question everything.
yeah, and it's hard too because this is his prime, basically. These are the years that he's supposed to be solidifying his legacy. And we've lost a lot of those years. He's lost a lot of those years due to his extracurricular activities. Let's not forget the hit and run in New Mexico that he fled the scene from,
Yeah.
where a woman was injured. I believe she broke her arm. I'm not sure on that if that's not exact. But nevertheless, he fled the scene, and so I don't know. It's interesting to see that this fight is for the title. And if Cormier wasn't the champion right now, I don't know how they would work this if Cormier wasn't also on his way out the door. But at the end of the day,
Mm.
this is the fight everybody wants to see. Everybody's going to get. And let's just all pray, whether you believe in God or not, that we get the next 2 or 3 days without any more drama. You know what I
Well,
mean? Let's just get to Saturday, please, without ruining this card, because this card
yeah.
is amazing. And after this, there's not going to be any UFC action for 2 or 3 weeks. For someone like me who does this full time, that's famine.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
that's horrible.
this is make or break, and the fact that they're moving it to LA on such short notice, and basically screwing everybody over who's bought tickets in Vegas. I mean, if you're middle class or lower, and you bought tickets for this event, you're screwed.
Yeah,
Like you're not probably buying tickets to go to LA and doing all that.
and there's a lot of members of the media that now can't go, including like Luke Thomas, for example, one of the biggest names in our industry. He today put on a live Q&A on YouTube, and he was talking about this. He now, Sirius Satellite Radio paid for a certain amount of hotel rooms or time. They did set up interviews with Misha Tate. They did all these things all set for Vegas that cannot be rescheduled. And so now Luke Thomas isn't even going to the event. They're not having a media day, which they always have. Instead, they've replaced it with a press conference, I believe tomorrow or Thursday. I can't remember. And it's just going to be the four main people on the card. That's it. There's no media day, whatever. And a matter of fact, I was working on an article on Megan Anderson, and she today went on Twitter requesting media members to let her know who wants to interview her because there's no media day set up, and so this is unheard of.
Well, the UFC better friggin' hope that they make a lot of money on pay-per-views, because that's what this is boiling down to me. It's like we just think that we're going to get so many pay-per-views for this rematch that it's got to happen no matter what.
Yeah,
So if they're
yeah,
taking that stance, for the UFC, I hope it's the right one. Unfortunately, it screws a lot of fans and even fighters. I mean, fighters who have, planned tickets and accommodations to have family and friends go out, people who've
yeah.
paid their good money, they work hard for. This is not an easy thing to just turn around and flip around.
And by the way, Megan Anderson, hit me up because I would love to interview at Above Full Tie Twitter, Ty O'Keefe Sports Gmail. Please, 5 minutes of your time would be fantastic. We would love to interview. All right, so and
Hell yeah.
I am gonna reach out to her and some other people on the card, see if we can maybe slide in there and steal a big name or two for our prestigious show. That would be fantastic this week. I know you're down.
In a heartbeat.
Absolutely, and it's a great opportunity. So hopefully we'll see some maybe lesser known members of the MMA media get a crack at the big time this week, which is well
Yeah.
overdue. Now, I'm going to ask you the same thing I asked you during our technical difficulties. And I know, we're not trying to pose questions here, but I got to say, if you were to put your house on the line, who do you got in this main event?
Whew, my house, eh?
Now,
You're
okay,
talking.
let me say, take your heart out of the thing. Take your emotions out of the equation.
Okay.
Let's
Okay.
go.
So, before I start, I want to say the first time I saw and the second time I saw the first fight, I thought Gus won. The third time I watched it just recently, I can see why people said John Jones won.
Yeah.
So, that being said, I don't really care who wins. I will say this though. If John Jones has not been training, improving, he will get caught this weekend. He'll get stung.
Yeah.
If these last wars that he's been in and whatever he's been doing in the gym, if it's been wearing him down and hurting him, he'll get exposed for that this weekend. What I do see happening though is much of the same old fight. I don't think it's going to change a whole lot. I think Gus's anti-wrestling is going to be on point. I think his boxing, he's going to really exploit that. I'm sure he's been working really hard on throwing multiple combinations and avoiding the leg kicks or blocking leg kicks from John, and then utilizing his. One thing that John scored well on, which I noticed, was his octagon control and his hits at length. They weighed, I'm sure, heavily with the judges' scorecards. So I think there'll be a counter to that. And then John is going to have to. I mean, I don't know how you do this unless he's been training hard. That's why I'm saying he could get exposed this weekend.
Yeah.
Is he's got to improve his hands. He's got to come up with a different recipe because he can no longer just stick his hand out and then cover his ear on the other side and stop him from getting hit because Gus is too big. He's too long and he's too good. So that's no longer any good. You can do that with everybody else in the division. You can't do it with him. So if he hasn't changed, he will get lit up. When I do see this, I do see it going all 5 rounds. I don't see anybody getting stopped. And if I had to pick a winner, just based on activity alone, I'm going to say Gus wins this fight via decision.
Really?
What do you got?
I'm going to stay spineless. I'm going to, oh God, because I did it to you. It's not really fair for me to be spineless about it, right? I got to answer it because I put you on the spot. I'm going to take, I'm going to take Gus just because I think Jones is still distracted by outside things. I still think his mind is elsewhere. I think the layoff hurts him more than the layoff that we've seen Gus go through. Now, Gus hasn't fought since May of 2017, I believe. That was his knockout win over Glover Teixeira, who he absolutely mutilated. I mean, he just ran through him. And, man, his striking is so crisp. It's so clean. It's just, wow. And after the one thing I do believe, though, this fight 5 years ago, their first fight, to me, it doesn't mean anything anymore. The window of opportunity to take advantage of what Gus learned against John Jones that night has closed because so much time has passed. Both have adapted. I believe Gus is far too intelligent to base his game plan on that first fight. You know what I'm saying? So I really, really, really think that it's going to be the best Gus we've seen. And Jones' only hope is to be at his best. And I don't know if we're going to get the best of our Jones because we saw, like I said, after the layoff against OSP, man, he didn't look good. So, but some people think he looked great. I don't know. But yeah, no, I'm going to go with Gus. And there's a lot of people who are going to pick Gus just because they want to see John Jones lose. But at the same time, we can't imagine it because we've never seen John Jones lose. It's like it reminds me of Aldo McGregor in a way. It's like a lot of people were backing McGregor, but it's like, could you imagine Jose Aldo losing? At that point in his career, I couldn't. No. So, all right, now Cyborg Nunez. This fight to me is just as intriguing. I do not know how anybody cannot be amped for this fight. It's going to be Cyborg's toughest test by far. Holly Holm gave her a test. That's one thing. This is a different ball game. I've heard 2 different sides from Nunez camp, and this isn't a crack against her. I've heard she doesn't look good with the extra weight. She's moving slower, and I've heard she looks more powerful and better. I've heard both opposite sides from people who've seen her been working. So I don't know what to say about that. I do know that Chris Cyborg will be the Chris Cyborg we've always seen. She will not be any different than the woman we saw against Kunitskaya, who she just, oh God, she obliterated her too. So, and that was an Invicta Bantamweight champion. Yana Kunitskaya is no joke. So I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you something. Bigger and slower is not going to be a good combination. So I don't care if she's bigger and stronger. If she's slower, she's in mega trouble. If your plan is to stand and trade with Cyborg, you're getting smashed. I don't care who you are.
Jason Perillo,
horrible.
Jason Perillo, her coach, said that she's knocked out a few guys in training camp.
Amanda or Cyborg?
Cyborg has, yeah. Cyborg's knocked out a few guys in training camp.
Yeah, man, that's not shocking. She's probably jacked more than half of those men. She's an animal. dude, like honest to God, if I saw her,
Careful,
if
careful,
I had to
careful,
go and do
careful. You're
three
gonna get us
rounds,
kicked off YouTube.
if I had to go 3 rounds with Cyborg, man, I'd probably be looking around the gym, looking at like there's got to be 3 other guys here that want to do rounds. Like
Oh,
she's a monster.
yeah, even in my stupidest days, I would have ran like a little girl from Cyborg. I don't care, baseball bat or nothing. I don't. I'm running. So yeah,
No,
and she too. I believe she's, remember she didn't want to fight a fellow Brazilian, and then Nunez kept calling her out, calling her out, calling her out, and I think Nunez might get more than she hoped for here. You know what I mean? Like I really think that this might be a little neck. Like what? Who said it? Cormier. There's levels to this game. Now everybody says it all the time. And I don't know if Nunez is at that level. Remember, she did lose to Kat Zingano. Now, it was a few years ago, but you lose to Kat Zingano.
yeah,
Now, Kat Zingano's a great fighter. Cyborg's never lost.
yeah. Cyborg's never lost. There's a massive reason for that. There levels is one reason. Levels of testosterone is another reason.
You're
So
gonna get us kicked off YouTube. You're gonna get us kicked
all
off
right.
YouTube.
No, but I'm just, you know what, Nunez, good on you. You are an amazing female fighter, bantamweight champion, right? Um, Great mixed martial arts game. Unfortunately, you're stepping into bigger waters here,
Yeah,
and there's
with
a
some
bigger shark
sharks.
in.
Oh God, some sharks.
Yeah, man. She's what is she? I'll tell you what. Amanda Nunez is a great white, and now she's entering orca territory. Like that's what's happening here.
Orca's a whale, though, isn't it?
It is, but it kills everything, dude,
Does
including
it?
sharks.
What's that
Yeah,
shark?
they're killer whales.
What's that bull shark that eats like garbage, like metal off the bottom of the ocean? It's like called like the
Dang, I didn't even know
oh
there
yeah,
was such a.
oh yeah, it eats like straight garbage. Like it just lives off metal and garbage and plastic and eats anything. So I mean, maybe that's a better analogy. But I don't know about your orca now. That's I don't know. We'll talk about that
Dude,
later. That's
dude,
horrible.
orcas,
That's
orcas kills
horrible.
sharks. They're killer whales, man. They're bigger, and they will kill and eat. Come on.
No, no, you're right. It's just this is a hilarious direction this conversation has gone. I mean, this is why I love doing this show with you. This is as you know, 10 minutes before we went on air, I was bitching like a little girl, and now this is why we keep doing this show because this is whatever. If you were if you were to like, this is my thing too. Well, you got this 2 title fight plan that the UFC now has to implement for every pay-per-view card, which is ridiculous. Remember back in the day, we get 1 title fight if we were lucky, and
Yeah.
and there wasn't because there was a lack of divisions. You know what I mean? Like they refuse to put title fights on the Fox cards. They aren't going to probably put I mean, the ESPN deal might be a little different. I don't know. But it's this 2 pay-per-view stuff, or these 2 title fights, these pay-per-views. It always makes me think rather, which fight's going to be better? Which fight's really going to be better? And like for example, when we saw UFC Milwaukee, Barbosa beat the snot out of Dan Hooker. All right, made a
Mm-hmm.
huge statement. 5 minutes later, that statement didn't mean anything because Ali Quinta did what he did to Kevin Lee, and they're in the same division. It was overshadowed immediately. You know what I mean? It,
Right.
it still got its attention, but not the attention it should have probably gotten. I wonder if that's going to happen this week. If we're going to see one solid performance from Cyborg or Nunez, and then it's going to be overshadowed by whatever happens from Gus and John Jones.
Well, I think they're both going to be like super high level technical fights. The difference I think will be is you'll see Cyborg finish Amanda Nunez this weekend, whereas like I said previously, I think Gus and Jones are going to a decision.
Really,
That's what I think the big difference will be.
and
Yeah,
I
she's going
can't
to get.
I can't disagree with you there. I can't disagree. I feel a finish in the Cyborg Nunez fight as well, and I could definitely see it going to the decision. Also, we've seen Gus fight Cormier to a decision, Jones to a decision. Like it could happen. Now, before we wrap up, I'm just curious of the whole entire card. I know you've been busy, but if you've had a chance to look at it, is there one fighter? For me, I'm amped to see Megan Anderson, Kat Zingano. I think Megan Anderson is the future of women's MMA. I think she's the future of her division, rather. I don't think Valentina Shevchenko could ever be, unseated as the future of MMA right now, for women's MMA, rather. But I do think that Megan Anderson's the future at 145 when Cyborg leaves. So I think this fight is really huge for her. So that's who I'm amped to see otherwise, other than the two title fights. Your thoughts?
Okay. Man, you know what? I know what you're gonna do as soon as I say this, but you know what? I'm actually amped to see, because it's so crazy to me to even have these words come out of my mouth. To see BJ Penn on the prelims, man, on the
Yeah,
prelims.
Ryan Hall.
BJ Penn,
That's gonna be a hell of a grappling match. Those two guys are absolute pretzels on the ground. They are tacticians. Yeah, and
yeah, man,
It's a fight that BJ Penn. It's the only wise fight he's taken in years, in my opinion, because Ryan
yeah,
Hall is not going to damage him. He's not going to bang him up like the other guys did. He's not going to walk out of there with busted up face. You know what I mean?
true,
That's not Ryan Hall's game. No matter what, that's not going to happen. It's the only reason I'm okay with this BJ Penn fight, because otherwise BJ Penn needs to hang up his gloves.
yeah. I can't disagree with that. Love Jay though. He's got my heart from way back in the day. I even met him one night in Ohio, and super hilarious guy.
You name
But
drop.
so shout out, shout out to BJ Penn. But let me tell you something. I want to see that, just because just being a diehard fan of BJ from a long time ago. The fact that he's on the prelims blows my mind away. So that fight, I will make sure I watch.
Absolutely.
If
What
I
you're
don't
not
get
going to
if I don't get anything but the co-main event and the main event, for whatever crazy reason, I will find my way to a screen and watch that BJ Penn fight.
I can understand that. There's a lot of people who think it might be his last too, and if it is his last, it's something worth watching just in itself, right? So it's just, it is what it is. Anyways,
Yeah,
with that, we will we're right on the money, like 25 minutes perfectly. So
hanging
we
it
will
out.
stick to our rule and wrap up our
Yep.
Christmas edition. Maybe we'll do another episode before Saturday, possibly, depending on what happens this week. Definitely be back Sunday or Monday to do a recap for sure. Uh, where can we find you on Twitter?
I'm at Daren Loucks. So guys, look me up. Give me a follow. Give me a tweet. Give me something.
Yeah, he's new to Twitter and he's doing a great job. Seriously, give him a follow. You definitely are active. You're relevant. You're doing great work on Twitter. I've been seriously impressed. You're doing better than I am. And so, definitely follow you and give me a follow to it at Above the Full Tie. Check us out on YouTube. We're going to have a lot more stuff. We're going to kind of revamping the whole show. We're not going to get into the details, but things are going to look much different in the new year for all 5 rounds. We're really excited about it. So thank you so much for joining us. And everybody watches this after we put it out. We appreciate it. Merry Christmas to everybody. Let's all hope that we have a fantastic card. Thank you so much for taking a few minutes of your late Christmas night. I know you've been busy today. I really appreciate it, man. I really appreciate you joining me. I know you've had a long day. You had to work. You had to do all this crazy stuff. You're a grinder, brother. You're a grinder. You've been grinding for 25 years. So
Man, that's it.
I,
I'm happy to do any time with you, brother. You know that. So
I appreciate it. We will get down and dirty this week and a lot to talk about, man. A lot to talk about. So thank you so
absolutely.
much for joining us on all 5 rounds, and Merry Christmas.